After I had created this data set, so I have two groups, boys and girls, and their scores on a test. What's the difference between these two data sets? Well, the only difference is that in the random data set, the boys and girls scores were generated such that there should not be a significant difference between the two groups. In the second case, the boys' scores were lower than the girls' score. Now, after I had generated this data, I thought about a more elegant, easier way to do it. And I'm going to show you how to do that here. So I'm going to create a new tab, and I'm going to regenerate the random data, and I'm going to call it random B. This time we're going to have 3 columns. So we have a column for gender and score. And then we're going to count students here. So it's equal to A1 plus 1. And I'm just going to copy that down. A total of 100 participants. So we have about 50 boys and 50 girls. And this time we're going to randomly generate the gender equal if. So this time we're using the rand function as opposed to the randbetween. Now the rand function will select a random value between 0 and 1. So it will be a decimal value. So we're saying if that decimal value is higher than 0.5, it should be a girl. And if it's lower than 0.5, it should be a boy. I'm going to just copy this down here. This should be random. I don't know how random it is, but we'll check it in a little bit. We're going to generate a random score. It's going to be equal. This time we'll use the randbetween. Okay. And we're just going to run this down. And there it is. But right now we're just going to check how many boys and girls there are. So we want to see what the sample size is for boys and girls, and we want to see the average score for boys and girls. For the sample size, what we're going to use is the countif function. Column B, so I'm going to just click on column B here, is the same as E2, 49 boys. So that's really good. So then this should be equal to 100 minus 49. Okay? Ooh, look at that. It changed. And it's changing because every time you add something to the sheet, it's going to randomly adjust. So the average is going to be, we want to average column C if column B is the same as E. Okay? Now our sample size here this time is 56 to 44. I want to try to get this sample size about the same, and let's get this average about the same as well. Let's just reload till we get a value that looks about right. Oh, this is pretty good, 50-50. All right, so once we get this 50-50, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these two columns, and I am going to paste them special values only. Now it's fixed, so if we reload it, we shouldn't see any change. Okay? Perfect. Let's duplicate this, and this time we want to regenerate all of these guys here. So I'm going to delete all of that. I want to keep the gender the same, but this time what we want to do is to keep the same scores for the girls, but we're going to change the score for the boys. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to use the array formula, so we only need to write the formula once. Probably best for you to understand how array formula work is for me to put in the formula as just a static formula and then modify it to an array. Let's put in a formula. So this is equal to, if this value here is boy, then go to the random B. That's this tab here, C2, and multiply that by randbetween 80 and 100. And to get it into a decimal value, we have to divide by 100. Otherwise, just make it equal to random B C2. Oh, this should be a... And so it's returning 72 because it's a girl, so it should be exactly the same. Okay. Now, if I copy this down to where they're a boy, okay, so all of these girls would give me the exact same values. So 72, 57, 52, 100, and then now the boy is 87.3. 72, 57, 52, 100, and they reduce this now from 90 to 87.3. I had to copy this formula down to all of these in order to generate a value. If we use an array formula, we only need to put in the formula once, and it will generate everything down. So I'm going to delete these guys and show you how we're going to do the array formula. First of all, this one is just pointing to B2. But we want this array formula to work for all of the cells in B all the way down to B101. We want this to work for B2 through B101. Same thing, we want this to point to all of the cells in column C from the random B. So we're going to go C through C101. And the same thing here through C101. Now if I hit this, it's not going to do anything because I haven't instructed it that this is an array formula. So we got to put in the front here, ARR, array formula, and put a parentheses and hit return. Now we're going to get all those values. All of the data generated. Isn't the array formula pretty cool? So we have an average for boys of 62.1. On the random, it was 70.6. And the girls is 68.9, just like before. We still have our sample 50-50. Okay? So that's it.